I've always been the underdog in my family. See, my sibling is a golden child, but I didn't expect that my family would just push me to the back of the shelf. I was not really thought about for a long time, but I thought on my 18th birthday they would finally pay some attention to me, but it didn't work out like that. They decide to go and spend time with their golden child, but they came up with a very unique excuse. I'm going to get into it, but that's just the beginning. First, I'm going to tell you some background story, why my parents hate me so much. If I had a chance to create a perfect world, I would create one where every child is loved by their parents, regardless of their strengths or weaknesses. I love my family, they mean the world to me, and there isn't anything I would not do for them. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for them. I can't really recall any time they've been there for me, and all my life I've been treated as an afterthought. You might be thinking that I may be a younger child, and my parents' inattentiveness to it just might have stemmed from that. Well, unfortunately, I'm the older of two sons, and the only excuse my parents Bill and Chloe could claim for their lack of affection for me was my dullness and sluggishness. I'm nothing like my brother, Stefan. Where Stefan is brash, outgoing, ambitious, and generally just interesting and charismatic, I'm more hesitant, quiet, and easily content. My brother had 1 million friends and would not hesitate to make the next stranger his friend in 3 seconds flat. I, on the other hand, preferred the company of books to that of people. Stefan was a sports junkie. Baseball, football, basketball, swimming, hockey. He was there. Just name any sport and you'll find him. However, come over to my side, and you won't even find a sport magazine hidden in my room. The one thing that I tried was baseball, but I failed. I couldn't swing a bat, pun intended, and I was ushered off of the field with a broken shoulder as a memorabilia. I'll never forget the disappointment that was stamped on my parents as I was ushered off the field that day. In fact, they did not even bother inquiring how I was feeling. Instead, the drive home was full of tense silence and my parents seething with their disgust and annoyance at my failure. I wish I could say that I was the only place that I failed them. Stefan has always known what he wants to be right from the time he was 5 years old. A firefighter came to our school to give a speech about safety. He pursued this with a single-mindedness that impressed our parents and, if I'm to be honest, impressed me too. Not once has he strayed, and as for me, it took 3 months to decide what to major in college. Well, me, that couldn't make up his mind on what he wanted to do when he grew up. At first, I told my parents that I wanted to be a librarian, because it would allow me to do what I loved best, which is reading. That appalled my parents and just drove home what they've always believed about me, that I was aimless, lacking ambition, and without a sense of purpose. To them, being a librarian seemed like a quiet, unassuming profession, devoid of challenges or drive. They saw it as a reflection of my own perceived shortcomings, a lack of passion, a lack of direction, and just simply a lack of determination. And my subsequent dream job only drove their assumptions home. To them, I was nothing but a failure and a colossal waste of their time and resources, and so they turned their attention and affection to the only child that actually brought them a bit of joy, my brother Stefan. Yep. Looking back, I realized that I could have turned out to be angry and a hateful person, or at least a depressed one. I don't know how or when, but somehow I resigned myself to the fact that nothing I did or became could please my parents, and the only thing left for me to do was to live my own life. My maternal grandmother played a big role in that, and she was always telling me that I was perfect, the way that I was, and had no need to change for anybody. She passed away when I was 7, but her words stayed with me. Because of her, I grew up to be a person who chose to be happy no matter how much my parents praised Stefan and ignored me. I chose to be happy despite my parents refusing to celebrate my birthdays. That story would be hilarious if it didn't almost wreck my self-esteem. My parents never celebrated my birthday. Perhaps they did when I turned 1 before they realized just how much of a disappointment I would be to them. But I'm almost 18, and I cannot remember any birthday of mine that they celebrated. I'm not talking about birthday parties or whatnot. I'm talking about birthday presents and birthday cakes and ways of celebrating my clocking another year. They never did that. They hardly even remembered to wish me a happy birthday, and of course, they never forgot Stefan's birthday. Never once did they forget to buy him the sweetest birthday cake or even the coolest of gifts. He was, after all, their golden boy, the beloved one whom they were all pleased to have. I remember asking them, when I was right, how come they never forgot Stefan's birthday while they always forgot mine? I remember my mother patting me on my head, like one would do to a dog, and saying that if I did not want to be forgotten, then I had to do things that would imprint my name on people's hearts. Things worthwhile and praiseworthy, things that would not make people forget me. Then she told me that if by chance I could not achieve that, all I had to do was wait till I was about to turn 18. Because becoming an adult would get me all the pomp and fuss, and we all know how my trial at something worthwhile and praiseworthy went, so my only option of being celebrated by my family would be on my 18th birthday, which is in 2 weeks from now. Well, true to their word, they were ready to celebrate my big birthday. My parents asked me to give them a list of what I would like them to get me for my birthday, and I have a little savings that I was ready to squander. Throw a little party for my family and friends. I was ready to go all out. Well, as out as my funds would allow me, but you get the idea. I was so excited, finally I would be showered with affection from my parents. I would finally have a taste of Stefan has always dreamt of what I've always watched from the outside. Everything was looking good, until today happened. So this morning during breakfast, my father turned to me and told me that my birthday party had been canceled. For a minute or two, I couldn't think of a response. What do you mean my birthday party was canceled? He wasn't even asking or suggesting. To him, it was just as good as done. And to make matters worse, the tone of his voice when he, quote, informed me about the cancellation, he could have been talking about the weather and the nonchalant way that he said it. When I finally found my voice, I asked what reason he had to cancel my birthday party, and he just told me that he and my mom had a pressing engagement that weekend, and so we would not be able to make it. I could hardly believe my ears. A pressing engagement on my 18th? After denying me how many birthdays, it felt like they were doing it on purpose, like they were trying to hurt me. I asked him if this trip could not be rescheduled, and he was all like, it's settled and I should move on. I could do what I've always done and make myself happy by throwing myself a party with only my friends in attendance. But I'll admit that the thought of the birthday party has lost its shine. The reason why I wanted to throw a birthday party was so that my parents could celebrate with me. When they're not going to be present, then, well, what then is the point? What do you guys think that I should do? Update number 1, 3 days later. Hey, everyone. It's been 2 days since I put my story out here, and even though some of you told me not to bother trying to convince my parents to choose me over their sudden engagement, I still tried my hand at it. Foolishness, perhaps, but tell that to a heart whose greatest wish is to be shown affection. Any form of affection by his parents, and no matter how many times I tried bringing up the subject of my birthday party, my parents were always turning it down. Even Stefan got angry yesterday and told me, stop crying over spilt milk and just move on. Knowing that my plans for a birthday party have truly and completely gone down the drain, I decided to try a different approach. It wasn't the birthday party I wanted, exactly. I just wanted to spend my birthday with my parents. To me, that was the greatest gift they could give me. So this morning during breakfast, I asked them what this engagement was and if they would not mind if I came along, and I even suggested that rather than a birthday party, I could settle for a birthday brunch or something. See, I wasn't expecting Stefan to burst into laughter. I mean, I know that sometimes I say things unexpectedly and they end up being funny, but I didn't think such was the case then. I simply asked him what's so funny, and he said that I was. He told me that our parents had been trying to spare my feelings by simply telling me that they had an emergency engagement that came up. However, in my stubbornness, I refused to let the matter go, and was only setting myself up to be more disappointed and hurt. Well, then he told me that the reason why my parents had to cancel my birthday was because he needed them to take a weekend trip with him for a sports event. At that, I stopped. shut down, just went numb. With an unbelievable calm, I asked Stefan if this sports event he was part of, the player. Well, he answered no. I asked if he was the coach. The answer? No. Okay, then I asked what was so important about the sport event that he needed our parents when he knew what weekend was my birthday. To that, he answered that he had high stakes in the game and needed them with him. Full stop. Just in case you're wondering, he actually said full stop. At that, I started making protests and arguments, but right in the middle of my protesting, my father stopped me as, well, he was like I should stop making a fuss out of it and just let it be. He went further to say, "You'll have other birthdays, but this opportunity is important in your brother's future." Guys, when he said that, I just lost it. In anger, I threw my fork down on my plate and stormed out of the dining room up to my room, and I can say, till now, none of them have even come to check on me. Not that I was expecting them to, not exactly. But still, my birthday was forgotten and cast to the side just like that, and the one birthday that they were supposed to acknowledge. They traded it without even giving me a choice in the matter. To them, I was being unreasonable, like it was a no-brainer that they would choose Stefan's weekend trip over my happiness. The fault lies with me. I think, my family has shown over and over again that they just don't really value me. They don't love me, and in every scenario that involves my brother and me, they would always choose my bro. Well, they're right, I need to move on. Move on from their favoritism and lack of affection? I'm thinking of moving out of the house and getting my own apartment. What do you guys say? Do you think I'm overreacting, or do you think my moving out is long overdue? Update number 2, 3 days later. Hello, I've come to a decision. I'm moving out of my parents' house. You might be wondering what made me do it. Well, I'm here to tell you. Still whiplash by the reason for my parents' canceling of my birthday, and I've just been avoiding my family altogether. Every single one of them, I didn't go down for breakfast, choosing instead to grab my breakfast when I knew they would not be around. I did the same thing for dinner. Rather than eating the food my mother cooked, I would have gotten something from a nearby restaurant which I would eat in my room. Of course, in the past 2 days, I've not received a knock from them, inquiring if I was alright. Like I said to them, I was the unreasonable one. This morning I avoided breakfast and came down when I thought that they were all out of the house. What I was not expecting was to run into my mother on the stairs, and she had forgotten something and had come to retrieve it. Unfortunately for me, just as she was exiting her room, I was doing the same. When she saw me, she gave me an amused smile and was all like, "I still think you're stalking." When I didn't say a word, she stepped closer to me and asked if I remembered what she told me when I was 7. I had no idea of what she was asking of me, but I didn't think that she would be that cruel. It turns out that she was that cruel, perhaps had always been. But with my rose-colored glasses, I saw better to her. Just like that. Taking my silence for confusion, my mother went on to remind me that if I did not want to always be forgotten, I had become, unforgettable. And if hatred always was being sidelined from my brother, then I had to give them a reason to choose me. Then with that amused smile on her lips, she looked me in the eyes and told me that we both know that I've never had it in me, and so I could not complain. Instead, I should be grateful for the little kindness they were showing me. In case those words did not pierce my heart, as she walked down the stairs, she threw the words, "Nobody had anything to do with a useless person," over her shoulders, and the force of her words, it drew me down to sit on the stairs, and I just don't know how long I sat there just contemplating my life. But you can be assured, the appetite for my breakfast vanished quicker than it came. When I finally dragged myself up, I went to my room and packed my stuff, ready to move out before the 3 of them even thought to return home. Anyways, when I placed a call to the one person I knew could help me out, Brandon, my first cousin twice removed, I asked him if I could come crash at his side for a few weeks. Unfortunately, he told me that he would not be able to and asked that I give him till after my birthday. I agreed. What else could I do? The funds in my hands won't be enough to rent me an apartment, a good one anywho. I would keep to myself and let my parents have fun with their golden child, or at least the one that they think is golden. If only they knew that Stefan had some little crazy skeletons to hide in that closet. I'm considering giving them a tour through the closet for nothing but the pleasure of bringing Stefan down a notch in their eyes. Should I? Update number 3, it's been 2 days. Hey everybody, so I do have an update for you. I'm sorry it took a while. Many of you expressed curiosity about the skeleton in my brother's closet. Some of you advised that I should use whatever dirt I have on Stefan to convince him to make our parents stay for my birthday. Well, I admit that could work, but the thought of celebrating my birthday with my parents no longer appeals to me. Oh no. After all, I'm the useless dull child with no ambition in life. What waste my time, energy, and money on them when they've made up their minds that they don't love me nor want me? No, I think that the better way to get back to them is exposing Stefan for them to really see just who exactly their favorite is. To satiate her curiosity, here's exactly what I have on Stefan. A few months ago, I came up to Stefan with a group of his friends in a hidden spot in an abandoned property. I would not have seen them if a particular tree on the property wasn't my favorite reading spot. Anyways, there I was, one day, on the tree, a novel in my hand, when I saw them. I was about to call out a greeting, but something restrained me, and the furtive glances they kept throwing around raised my suspicions. Plus, the way they seemed to be whispering, even though no one should be able to hear them being on an abandoned property and all that shouted that they had something fishy going on. For a reason I couldn't name, I brought out my phone and started videoing them. Therefore, before my and my phone's camera very eyes, I watched as some guys collected some packages that looked like some, well, drugs. Other packages were handed to him, one which looked suspiciously like, other drugs. With 2 packages identified as drugs, I knew without any doubt that the other stuff with Stefan were, well, what I thought they were. And based on the exchange going on, it was easy to deduce that my brother wasn't just a user, but he's a dealer. That day, I considered showing my parents. And the video, but I didn't, and the reason was this. Stefan made my parents happy, and as crazy as it sounds, seeing my parents happy used to make me happy. I knew that seeing the video would cause them so much heartbreak, so I simply archived it, and I told myself that if I was going to have a talk to Stefan about it, but hey, I could never bring myself to it. And that is, for some reason, I'm wondering if I should really expose my brother's crimes to my parents. I admit that they probably deserve to have this dose of cold water splashed upon them, and that it was Stefan who had such dirt on me. He won't be thinking twice about using it as ammunition against me. Well, I don't think so, at least. And other ways to get more in our parents' favor, and therein lies another issue. I'm done with my parents. I am. I'm no longer caring about earning their favoritism or getting them to accept me even. However, exposing Stefan could easily be misconstrued or whatnot. Worse, at the end of it, I finally, quote, earned my parents' affection, and what then? Is it really worth it? Don't you think I should leave them to continue in their blessed oblivion? It's not like any sudden affection could make up for the past years that they've rejected, and they've hurt me. Update number 4, 5 days later. Hello everyone. So, it's my birthday, and I'm at home. Would you believe that my parents and Stefan went ahead and packed their bags and went away while I was still asleep? They didn't even bother to wish me happy birthday before they left, and just in case that happy birthday was quite a mouthful, they had not bothered with a goodbye either. In the spirit of giving them the benefit of the doubts, I searched the house for a note of some sort, something that signified that they've been thinking of me. They remembered what today is for me, and I even went to go check my parents' room, Stefan's room, the kitchen, the living room, everything, even the trash can. My search, however, did not turn up anything, not a card, nor a note. I don't know why, but after my search, I went to the fridge to check for something miraculous like a cake. I don't know why I thought that they would bother with getting me a cake when they could not even pen a simple birthday wish or a goodbye note. Well, after promising to celebrate my transition to adulthood, after dangling this birthday as some sort of consolation prize for all the previous birthdays they've forgotten, they all left as if they didn't know that I was in the house and that today was my birthday. They left without a word. It was then I realized that even a dog was treated better than I was by the people I call and took as my family. With that, I took my phone and went over to Stefan's school. I requested to see the principal, and when I shown into the office, I showed her the video of Stefan dealing his stuff, and, well, Miss Laura, she smiled, the principal. She was angered. She smiled so much she was angry by the video and promised that Stefan was no doubt going to be expelled, no questions asked. So, when I asked what else I was going to do with the video, I told her that I was going to show it to the police. Well, when I tell her that, she actually nodded and was like she knew that I was doing something that was not easy and that I was actually brave for doing this. But what she didn't know was that I could not tell her was that this was the easiest thing I've ever done. True to my word, after I left the school premise, I went to the nearest police station and showed one officer the video. Officer Diego asked me where Stefan was, and I told him that he was away with my parents on some event trip. He made me promise to go back home and wait for them to arrive so that I could inform him and they could make the arrest. Well, I agreed, and I've started on this journey, and it's only natural that I see it to the end. When I got back home, I called Brandon and told him that I needed a few more days before I could move into his place. Brandon, a good friend that he is, tells me to take my time and that his house was always open to me. When he said that, it just drove home how much time I'd wasted on people who loved me. But themselves, while I've been surrounded by good people. Well, it's time to boot the selfish people out of my life and focus on the true family that I have found. Guys, final update. Update 5, 6 days later. Hello. It's been a while, so I'm here to give you the latest updates. My parents and my brother got back 3 days ago, just like I promised Officer Diego. I messaged them immediately after they arrived, and I also informed Miss Laramie and suggested that if she wants to serve Stefan the expulsion letter, she had to do it before the cops got him. As I waited for Officer Diego and Miss Laramie to arrive, I watched my family as they went on and on about how wonderful their trip had been. They didn't even bother with pleasantries when they arrived, and there was no asking how or why or what or inquiring about how my birthday went. I could as well be invisible to them when they ignored me. A few minutes after I messaged them, Officer Diego and Miss Laramie arrived. I was the one that let them in. My family was surprised to see them, and they all turned their eyes on me as if to ask what had I done to bring authorities to this door. Well, I said nothing, instead allowing everything to take its course, and I think Miss Laramie and Officer Diego had a chat before getting to the house because Officer Diego allowed Miss Laramie to take the lead. Anyways, Miss Laramie asked my parents to have a seat, and once they did inform them that the school was expelling Stefan based on criminal activity, well, when they heard that, my parents looked angry, as if Miss Laramie was trying to soil their son's name. Well, Stefan, however, became white as a sheet, and his eyes were full of fear. When my father starts arguing with her, Officer Diego stepped in and informed them that there was evidence of Stefan dealing hard drugs. Of course, my parents demanded to see the evidence, and thankfully I forwarded the video to them. There was no need to make use of my phone to show them the evidence, something that would expose me as the tattletale, who called the cops on their favorite little boy. Yeah. When they saw the video, my parents blanched. My mother starts crying and pleading as if her tears could change the consequence of Stefan's actions. Officer Diego handcuffed him and took him to juvenile hall that same day. I packed my things and moved in with Brandon. Last I heard concerning Stefan, my parents had to sell their house so that they could bail him out, and in my opinion, they should not have done that. They should have allowed him to face the consequences of his actions so that he can learn and start on a better path. But who am I to tell them how to handle their golden boy? And speaking of golden child, you'll not believe what my parents came over to say to me. I don't know how to they found out that I was with Brandon, but they came to see me yesterday. They apologized for the way they treated me, for choosing Stefan over me, and simply not realizing that I was their true golden child. And guys, when I heard that, I almost burst into laughter. So now that Stefan has proven to be less than perfect of a child that they thought him to be, I'm suddenly their golden child. Well, I don't want to be their golden child. I don't want to be second option that they choose when they first one's taken away. It was already too late for reconciliation, and I told them so. I deserve better than they've ever given, and even better than they could have given me. And with that, I want to say thank you to you all for your immense support through these past crazy days. Your advice was invaluable. Thank you.